Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the real secrets of money with your host, myself, Damon J. Brockenberry, the extraordinary CEO of the Soul Supreme team and DTA and Associates. I want to thank every one of you who are joining me today on Friday, November the 14th, 2025. Also, please note the next 2 Fridays I will not be here. Next Friday, I have a very busy day. And the Friday after that is the Friday after Thanksgiving. So I will not be back until the first Friday in December. Time is fine, y'all. I always say that. But as always, I like to get into the wonderful world of real estate. So let me begin. Today, I want to talk about how to build wealth with real estate in any market. Yes, in any market. There are hacks that you'll need to know about and that you can do so. I know a lot of times people like to go on HGTV and they like to also, go on Zillow, go on Redfin, talk to people, join these investment groups. But there are some things that you can do yourself. And if you don't know how, I'm going to help you to tap into that resource to help you to build wealth through real estate in any market. First one is house hacking, and this is for beginner. This is beginner friendly, all right? And what I want to do is just basically tell you all, I want people to start to look for a rental property, okay? The rental property, look for like a 4-unit building, something that you can actually live in one of the units and you can have the tenants paying the other ones. The other one is using an FHA loan whenever you're financing property. A FHA loan has the lowest down payment requirement, which is only 3.5% down compared to a conventional loan where you have to put 10 to 20% down, especially when you have more than one property that you own. You have to go into the 20 percentile. Now, people don't understand that, but the more money you're putting down, the less money that you have for cash flow and to invest also. And then also when you have a property of your own, whether you have a property now or whether you're looking to get a rental property, when you own real estate, you can actually use that real estate property as collateral to get a loan. And this is the reason why I mentioned this before, that when you fill out things and it always asks you, do you own or do you rent? Because when you own, your approval rating shoots up, regardless of what your credit is. Okay. The second one is buy and hold rental properties. And this is for long-term realtors build wealth through monthly cash flow, principal pay down, appreciation, tax advantages. A lot of times, in this economy that we live in this world that we live in, taxes is a big issue. This is why you always hearing about the rich don't want to pay taxes, because taxes call. But a lot of times the people who don't make that much money pay the most taxes, and it keeps them down. So you want to get the tax advantages by having real estate. All right. Works in any market because renters are going to always exist because everyone cannot afford to buy a home, and then sometimes some people don't want to buy a home because they may feel like it's too much maintenance. They don't want to live in a house by themselves. And then they're always on the move. So sometimes they'll rather just rent. So renters are going to always be in every market. So getting a rental property is key, you all, along with keeping your costs down on your monthly payments, or if you can pay it off. Number 3, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Again, I'm going to say it. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Buy undervalued properties. And this means properties that needs work, fixer-uppers, short sales, foreclosed properties. Now, some people don't understand this, but even with short sales, a lot of times, whatever the property is listed at, you can offer less than the list price because it's similar to an actual foreclosure. It's a pre-foreclosed property in which the mortgage company has to make the final decision before determining if they're going to sell it to the buyer or not. But when you buy undervalued properties, you fix it up and then you rent it out and then you refinance to pull cash out. Like I was mentioning before, that if you use your home as collateral, you can start another business, or you can pull that cash out by doing a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, in which you take that money, you can do whatever you want with that money. This is why real estate always appreciate. And you repeat this to grow your real estate portfolio. Excuse my pronunciation. All right. Now, the Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat method lets you recycle the money over and over to build a portfolio even in a competitive market. Number four, buying distressed or value added properties, foreclosures, auctions, estate sales, outdated homes, short sales. These all add values through renovations and upgrades for improved management. Sweat equity is real equity. Improving a property forces appreciation even when the market is slow. And this basically means if you buy a property, a foreclosed property, a short sale property, an estate property, a lot of times you're going to buy that for less than market value. The moment you buy it, you have instant equity. So if you buy a property, let's say hypothetically, it's listed for 250, you buy it for 225, and it's a distressed property and it's worth 275, you instantly have 50,000. So a lot of times when you're doing a HELOC, like I said, they allow you to take up to 80% of the equity in the home. So that 50,000 you can take out 40,000, and a lot of times you can use that 40,000 to get a business loan, and then in many cases you can actually start a business. But people don't understand it. Number five, real estate appreciation plays. Focus on areas with job growth, transit expansion, new commercial development. Buy before the neighborhood takes off. Like, for example, in the DMV, they're still working on a purple line. Buy in those areas. They're also working on a new Commander Stadium in DC. Buy in those areas. Those areas are where appreciation is going to come quick once the development has been complete. Number six, using tax benefits to grow wealth. Depreciation on rental reduces taxable income. A 1031 exchange lets you sell and buy another investment without paying capital gains. Rental income is often taxed lower than W-2 income. You didn't know that, did you? Real estate quietly builds wealth because the IRS rewards you for owning it. Number seven, partnership and joint ventures. Team up with someone who has capital, that means money, skills, and credit. Now, a lot of times you see these investment groups and they'll tell you real quick, oh, sign up today. Today is the last chance. Get with us and everything. But a lot of times these people are not creditable. You know, you don't know them. They're strangers. They always tell you about the people who made all this money doing real estate and everything. But a lot of times you don't know them. They become a ghost afterwards. Do your research, okay? I'm not saying some of them are not legit, but a lot of them are not legit. I'm gonna be honest with you. Do your research. Partner with people. Sometimes you can start an in-house cycle with certain people that you trust and believe in. It could be 2, 3 of you who come together, have a meeting of the minds, decide we're going to do this, and we're going to get a property. We're going to do this, and you'll, strategize who gets what's when, where, who got the resources, who has the skills, who has the credit. You have to partner with the right people. Most businesses that are very successful is basically based off people who know what they're doing and everything, people that they can trust. So you don't need all three. You don't need money, you don't need time or credit. You just need one and a partner with the others. Number 8, real estate without owning property for low budget listeners. Public real estate companies, real estate crowdfunding, syndications, and land flipping. Real estate investing isn't just for people with a down payment. There are ways to get in with $100. And then number 9, short-term rentals, such as Airbnbs. High income potentials in tourism or busy area. Great for homes near hospitals, military bases, and major cities. Use automated systems to run them remotely. Example, short-term rentals turn a regular property into an income machine if you choose the right location. And that's one thing about real estate. Real estate is always about location, 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 location. And then 10, equity leveraging. Use your HELOC. That's your home equity line of credit. That's the equity that's been built in your property. Use it. Pull it even if you don't need it. Because just like what the government just shut down, and congratulations to all the government workers that are back, just like when the government just shut down, sometimes you're going to need things. And then when it gets desperate times, sometimes banks are not going to be wanting to lend you your own money. When things are going good right now, and I would strongly advise you to pull some money out of your HELOC if you have equity, and you don't even have to tap into it. Don't use it. Just have that right there so when you do need it. Grow a portfolio without starting from scratch. The key to building wealth in real estate is using equity to buy more assets, not letting it sit in the walls. Because here's the thing. What good is your equity in your home if you never tap into it? See, you have to tap into it and use it in order to realize that it is there for a reason. As you build your equity in your home and your home appreciates, use that money to either start a business, pull it out to get a HELOC, and do things like this. These are ways that you build wealth. You own a home for a reason, or you're going to own one for a good reason. Not just to live in, people, to also help you thrive, especially when we are in a bad economy. All right. I'll be back with my house of the week. All right, all right, all right. I forgot to mention at the beginning, but please follow me on all social media platforms. If you're not, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and also Pinterest. So right now, my house of the week, I am doing an open house on this house tomorrow. So if you're in DC, please come through and take a look and come visit me. I'll be there between 1 and 3:30 p.m. Come take a look at the house. I'm sure that you'll love it. This house right here is at 2814 Rhode Island Avenue. The developer has done great work in renovating this home. Look how beautiful it is. Look at this gourmet kitchen. This is perfect. This home has been upgraded. This is 4 bedrooms, 4 levels, 4.5 baths, more than enough room. It is a single family home in Washington, D.C. It has 2 parking spaces in the driveway. It is perfect for those who want to be near the D.C. Maryland line, but also have access to the city, not too far from the metro. I'm going to also show you this home vacant, and I'm also going to show you its stage so you can take a look at what could be in and how it looks right now. Now, I really want people to get a good look at this home because this home has one of your names written all over it. If you are available tomorrow, Saturday, November the 15th, between 1 and 3:30 p.m., please stop through at 2814 Rhode Island Avenue, Northeast, Washington, D.C., 20018. I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback on this. This home is ideal for that person who wants to be in the city, who wants 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, in a 4-level house with 2 parking spaces in the driveway. It is conveniently and centrally located near everything. All right, all right. Now, I am going to go into my Q&A because I have quite a few questions today. And as always, let's get right into it. The first question is, what are your thoughts on the 50-year mortgage? What are your thoughts on the 50-year mortgage? That's a great question. Many of you all probably heard this week that President Trump had talked about having a 50-year mortgage for most people in the future, and some people are skeptical on it. I think there are pros and cons to this 50-year mortgage. Here's the thing. The pro is that it creates affordability for a lot of people who would not be able to afford home because, for example, when it pertains to the monthly mortgage payment, the monthly mortgage balance is factored into the 30 years. So because you're stretching that out longer, I think that is a benefit for a lot of people who, typically couldn't afford a home. Let's say their budget is, I can only afford $2,500 a month. But because of 30 years, may saying that they got to pay $3,500 a month. But then with the 50-year mortgage, it might stretch it out to $2,000 a month. That's one benefit. The other benefit is, like, when it pertains to the taxes are always factored into the mortgage payment. Therefore, some people don't have to worry about paying their taxes on their own. Now, here's the reality also, too. A lot of people are not owning homes for 30 years. So I really don't see what the big problem is. Because if a person really buys their dream home and they do plan on staying in it for 30 years, that's where I see the issue coming in at, because it's taking so long. But what you have to also factor and understand is, though, even though it's a 50-year loan, you don't have to wait 50 years to pay it off. All you have to do during a year is make well, with the 30-year loan, you normally just have to make an extra payment per year, and that actually reduces your time. I think if you do it for X amount of years, it reduces your time down to 7 years. I mean, reduces like 7 years over time. Now, when it comes to the 50-year loan, you might have to double that, do 2 extra payments per year, and I'm sure you won't be paying on it for 50 years. Now, I will always strongly advise you to speak with a mortgage specialist who can give you the exact and accurate numbers when it pertains to how long it will take you to pay that off. But here's the reality. Most people who buy homes today live in homes anywhere from 5 to 7 to 10 years. Very few people actually stay in the home 30 plus years. So what is my thoughts on it? I thought is very beneficial to the fact that most people don't live in their homes forever. It's very beneficial to the fact that it'll help people to be able to afford a home that they would not have been able to afford with a 30-year mortgage. The con is it takes forever to pay it off, especially if only you have enough to pay that mortgage. Okay. Next question. Is there a minimum and maximum interest that can be given on a mortgage loan? Is there a minimum and maximum interest that can be given on a mortgage loan? This is a great question. Is there a minimum and maximum interest that can be given on a mortgage loan? The answer to that is yes. Okay. Now, the minimum is always going to be determined based off your credit. Here's the thing. The maximum, they're not going to go over market value when it pertains to the best interest rate or the lowest interest rate. I mean, the lowest interest rate or the highest interest rate. They can't go beyond market value. There's only a scale that they can go beyond as far as going down and going up. Now, what that current one is, I do not know right now, because, again, that is a question for the mortgage lenders. Now, I would strongly advise, again, to speak to a professional mortgage lender when it pertains to that. Even though I know a lot of stuff when it pertains to real estate, that is not my specialty or my field of business. So I will not rather give you the answer. I can always direct you to a mortgage specialist who can answer that question for you, because that's their field. My field is helping clients sell and buy homes for the best price. That's my field. And I've been doing that forever, 20 plus years. That's why everything or every house I touch turns to sold. Next question. Are we in a stable housing market? Are we in a stable housing market? The answer to that is yes, we are. The housing market is only as stable as the economy. Even though we had a government shutdown in this particular area, we are in a stable housing market. Now, like I mentioned before, real estate is always relative to location, location, location. So if you were to go to another section of the country and the job market is very bad in that area, then that housing market is very unstable. Okay. So are we in a stable housing market in the DMV? Yes, we are. The next question. When should a buyer get an adjustable rate mortgage, an ARM? When should a buyer get an adjustable rate mortgage, which is an ARM? That is a great question. I would say a buyer should get that if they're trying to get in a home, they plan on refinancing immediately, or they do not plan on staying in the home long. The reason why I say that is because it is called an adjustable rate mortgage, and they base it on the market. So whatever the market is, it's going to get adjusted. Sometimes people get into that, use the ARM to get into a home, don't refinance, and they stay longer than expected, and their monthly mortgage payment ends up doubling and tripling in some cases. I strongly advise only the savvy buyers to use this, the ones who know what they're doing, the ones who have strategized and really know how this ARM will affect them in the future. The ARM is not suited for everyone. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So when should a buyer get an adjustable rate mortgage? If they are savvy enough to deal with the mortgage, if they have spoken with their mortgage specialist to go over all the terms and agreements and how it will adjust on them, and they are savvy enough and they can handle the adjustment, that's when they should get an adjustable rate. Is there ever a good time to use an interest-only mortgage? Is there ever a good time to use the interest only mortgage. Um, yeah, there is a good time to use it. I strongly don't recommend it. Um, I don't recommend it. I just think that just like we talked about the arm, it's always relative to the buyer. It's always relative to the buyer. So is there ever a good time to use interest only? I don't strongly recommend it. And again, I would tell you to speak with a mortgage lender on that one as well too. The next question: how late is too late to sell or refinance your home that is going into foreclosure? How late is too late to sell or refinance your home that is going into foreclosure? The answer to that is whenever there is a sale date. Here's the thing with foreclosure. Unfortunately, in life, people go through things, and when they go through things, things happen. Life happens. Nobody gets a home to plan for it to go to foreclosure. But when it becomes too late is when the mortgage company have already put a sale date on it. Because here's the thing. Let's say hypothetically they put it, today is November 14th. They say the sale date is December the 3rd. A lot of times you will have to get a buyer to not only pay the mortgage, you have to pay the late fees, the interest, the attorney fees. And a lot of times it accumulates so much that most buyers are not going to be willing to pay it because they were like, nah, I wanted to get it when it was at that price. Now I'm not paying all that. So when is it too late? If the mortgage company already have a sale date, that means they're going to have an auction on the home. Now, here's another good thing about this. At every auction, every sale date, houses are not always sold because, like I said, real estate is always relative to location and also to the condition of the home and the property. So how late is too late to sell or refinance your home that's going into foreclosure? I would say nothing beats a failure but a try. But just keep in mind that if it's a sell date on it, 9 times out of 10, it's too late. But that 1 time out of 10, you might luck up. So never give up. All right. Never give up. I'll be right back to talk about my topic of the day. All right. My topic of today is be careful. And what I mean by this, y'all, you have to be careful of where you're getting your resources from, where you're getting your counseling from, people who are talking to you about other people, other things. You have to really be careful and do your research. You know, there are so many people in this world today that lie on other people just to make themselves look good. So when people are talking to you about, let's say, another person, you got to be careful of what they're saying because sometimes all they're trying to do is paint a picture of the other person that they want you to see, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right picture that you should be seeing. Sometimes you got to do your own research for yourself to really find out what's going on because people have hidden agendas and hidden motives, and a lot of times you don't even know why. You have to really be careful of who you're listening to, what you're looking at, whom you're around. You know, I saw a video this week and it was people in an elevator. And what happened was it was a person, it was like 3 different people, and they were all part of an experiment. And so what happened was, let's say they get on an elevator and you're looking this way, and everybody gets on the elevator and they turn the other way. And the people kept looking at the people, and then they start turning in the same direction as those people. And no matter which way they got on it and they turned, everybody who was normally facing forward turned in the direction of the other people. And what it proved was that everybody can have an influence on you, whether you realize it or not. Whether they distorting your thinking, whether they're trying to convince you some type of way. It's just like when you go somewhere and you listen to, let's say, gossiping, people talking negative about a person. So other people feed into it, but then you find out later on that, oh, that wasn't true. You understand? What I'm saying to you is you have to be careful of what comes into your eye gate, what comes into your ear gate, who you hang around, what you're listening to, what you're doing, because all these things have an effect on all of us. The music you listen to, the TV you watch, like when some people want to watch all horror movies or they want to watch reality TV and all this drama and gossip, and then they go out into the world and then you wonder why everyone's getting into fights all the time. Or listening to rap music all the time, and everybody want to go around and be, yeah, da 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 da. And the next thing you know, they want to be a killer and stuff. And then you wonder why the 13-year-old did this. What I'm saying to you is We all have to be careful of what we're channeling, what we're listening to, what we're reading, what we're looking at, whom we hanging around, what we're listening to, and whom we're listening to. Because when you don't even realize, these people can paint a picture in your head that the picture shouldn't even be painted. And sometimes you have to use critical thinking. See, the problem with most people these days is most people are followers. Most people are not leaders. Unfortunately, that's just like everybody think they look good. Everybody think they are good. I'm the best cook. I'm the best driver. I'm the best whatever. You know, what I'm saying to you is be careful of who you're listening to, what you're listening to, what you're seeing. Because what you're seeing, whom you're listening to, what you're listening to may be something that you really shouldn't. Sometimes you got to think about a lot of things. Why I'm listening to this, what they saying, why they saying this. You know, even when you look at TV, why that's on it. That's just like always watching the news. The news is very informative, but the news also will have you thinking certain things. Like, for example, when I was younger, the media used to always paint a negative picture of Africa. You know, made it seem like Africa was always in poverty and Africa wasn't a good country and things of that nature. But you go over Africa, Africa is beautiful. And the whole country's not in poverty. And they don't have flies on their face and they only eating rice. But that was the image on TV. And what I'm saying to you is just like how you can be fed certain things to think of certain things, that's how it is around these people sometimes. That's what's going on in the world. It's just like when you look on people's social media profile, people want to show you all the glam, like when they on vacation, when they out eating good, when they having fun. But they ain't telling you about their struggles, what they going through, the pain. And I'm not saying that they're supposed to be sharing that. What I'm saying is, though, people show you and tell you what they want you to believe. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe everything you hear. Question things, challenge things. Because I promise you, when you start to question and challenge things, then what you really need to know, you will know. What you really need to see, you will see. That's why even with the Bible, you're supposed to read your Bible daily. You're supposed to keep your head in the word. And when you keep your head in the word, it explains about all these things. About, be careful what comes into your ear gate and your eye gate. And I'm just saying that to say, I've seen so much people gossip and lie on others because they're mad, they're hurt. So they want you to believe certain things. I've seen the media give pictures of, say, people like myself, and make you seem so negative. We've been stigmatized. And it don't be true. It's just what they want you to believe. And it's the same thing when you talk to people, when you hang with people. People are going to tell you what they want you to believe. And what they want you to believe is not always the truth. So be careful of who you listening to, who you talking to, where you going, the people you hanging around, the environment you're around. Be careful. It's like you not being a smoker and you go around a whole bunch of people that smoke. You get secondhand smoke and you can end up with lung cancer. So be careful of what you're doing. Be careful of where you're going. Be careful of what you're listening to, whether it's the music, TV, or people. Be careful of the conversations that you hold with people, because trust and believe. Just because that person is telling you something doesn't mean that it's always true. Sometimes it has some truth in it, but it's always exaggerated, twisted around, or their version of things. Be careful of everything that you do. Be mindful, be careful, and start to be critical thinking and think for yourself, because in this thing called life, you don't want to be believing everything that you hear. You have to think. That's why you have a brain. Use your brain and be careful, everyone. I'll be right back with my recap. All right? All right. All right, y'all. Again, follow me on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, Pinterest, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And here's my recap. How to build wealth through real estate in any market, real quick. House hacking, buy and hold rental properties, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, buying distressed or value-added properties, real estate appreciation plays, using tax benefits to grow wealth, partnerships and joint ventures, real estate without owning property for low budget listeners, short-term rentals such as Airbnb, and equity leveraging. And my final word was be careful, y'all. Be careful out here in this world today. Be careful of the company you keep. Be careful of the conversations you have. Be careful of what you watch. Be careful of what you read. Be careful what you listen to. Put your head in a book and stay mindful. And if you can, put your head in the Bible and make sure you follow me. I'm going to take you out on my commercial. And remember, I won't be here the next 2 weeks. I'll be here the first Friday in December. All right. Have a great weekend.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness, I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the agent. A name you can trust.